The first time I realized something was slipping between us, it was a quiet Sunday afternoon in our apartment. The kind of day that used to feel like home. The sunlight streamed through the half-open blinds, slicing golden lines across the hardwood floor. The faint hum of the city outside mixed with the aroma of her favorite vanilla candle, once comforting, now almost mocking in its sweetness. Brittany sat on the couch, legs curled under her, laughing at her phone. Her laughter was light, genuine, the kind that used to be mine. I looked over from the kitchen counter, where I was slicing lemons for our tea. "Who's that?" I asked, casual but curious. She glanced up, her eyes bright. "Oh, just Nate. New guy at work. He's hilarious." Something inside me tightened, though I couldn't explain why. I wanted to trust her. I did trust her, or at least I used to, but the way her face lit up, the way she smiled down at her screen like the rest of the world had vanished, that was new. Over the next few weeks, Nate's name became a regular guest in our home. She'd mention him over dinner, during late-night Netflix marathons, even while brushing her teeth. "Nate said the funniest thing today," she'd say, giggling, or, "Nate's struggling with his project, poor guy." At first, I brushed it off. Everyone has work friends. But soon, work friends turned into daily lunches, then late-night texts, notifications lighting up her phone long after midnight. Sometimes I wake up at 2 a.m. to the soft glow of her screen. Her lips curve into a small, private smile. The tension between us thickened, invisible but undeniable. I tried to ignore it, told myself I was being dramatic, but the silence between messages from her and Nate was louder than anything in our apartment. Finally, one night, while the rain whispered against the windows and the city glistened in the distance, I decided to ask. My voice was steady, but my chest felt like it was burning. "Brittany," I began, "I'm not comfortable with how much you and Nate talk, especially late at night." For a moment, she just stared at me. Then she laughed, not a soft laugh, but a loud, dismissive one that cut deep. "Oh my God," she said, rolling her eyes. "You're so insecure. He's just a friend. I can talk to whoever I want. This is 2024, not 1950. Her tone was sharp, and I felt myself shrink a little. I wasn't angry, just stunned. "I'm not saying you can't have friends," I said quietly, "but texting someone goodnight, especially someone you work with, that crosses a line." "You're being controlling," she snapped. "This is your problem, not mine. You need to work on your trust issues." I remember standing there, watching the reflection of her in the rain-streaked window. The woman I loved, the one I thought I understood, was now looking at me like I was the problem. From that night forward, something inside me changed. Her laughter, her phone, her late nights, they stopped hurting. They just detached. I started seeing the cracks not as signs of my insecurity, but of her disrespect. And that realization, that slow-burning truth, would become the spark that turned our relationship into a wildfire. The weeks that followed were strange. Our apartment, once filled with laughter and warmth, began to feel colder, quieter. The hum of the refrigerator, the clicking of her phone, the tapping of rain against the windows. Everything sounded sharper, heavier, as though the air itself carried the weight of something unspoken. I tried to convince myself it was just a phase, that maybe she was right, maybe I was being insecure. But every time I saw her smile at a message, every time she turned her phone screen away from me, that small voice in my head whispered, "No, you're not crazy. You're just finally seeing things clearly." It wasn't jealousy. It was awareness. Then came the night everything shifted. She was getting ready to go out, a sleek black dress hugging her figure, the one I bought for our last anniversary. Her perfume filled the room, a mix of jasmine and something sweet I couldn't name. I watched her from the doorway, heart-heavy but strangely calm. "Big plans?" I asked, my voice quiet. She didn't look up from her mirror. Drinks with the team. The whole team? Her reflection met mine through the mirror. Why does it matter? I can go wherever I want, with whoever I want. Stop suffocating me. Her words landed hard, but I didn't flinch this time. I simply nodded. "You're right." She turned, caught off guard by my calmness. "What?" You're absolutely right. I repeated. You can talk to whoever you want. Go wherever you want. Do whatever you want. Her eyes narrowed, confusion mixing with suspicion. Finally, thank you for understanding. I smiled, not the broken kind I've been giving her lately, but a quiet, knowing one. No problem, I said softly. And you know what? I think I'll start applying the same philosophy. Her mascara wand froze midair. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing bad, I said, shrugging. Just means I can talk to whoever I want, too. Same rules for both of us, right? She rolled her eyes. Whatever makes you feel better about your insecurity. Then she grabbed her purse and walked out, heels clicking against the hardwood, doors slamming behind her. The silence that followed wasn't painful this time. It was freeing. I sat there for 10 long minutes, listening to the rain again, and something inside me settled. Not revenge, not anger, just peace. Then I picked up my phone. There was a list of people I hadn't spoken to in a while. People who did value kindness and connection. Her family was one of them. Roger, her dad, had always called me son. Janet, her mom, trusted me with every tech issue in the house. Her little brother, Tommy, still sent me guitar videos for feedback. But the ones who truly came to mind were Melissa and Dana, her cousins. Melissa was a painter, soft-spoken and talented, but constantly doubting herself. I'd seen her post a piece recently, abstract swirls of blue and gold that carried a quiet sadness. Brittany never even liked the post. So I texted her, "Hey, saw your new painting on Instagram. Incredible work. Ever thought about showing it in a local gallery?" Her reply came fast. "Thank you. I wanted to, but I don't even know where to start. I know someone downtown who runs a small art gallery. Want me to introduce you? Are you serious? That would mean so much." Then I reached out to Dana. She started a food blog a while back, funny, honest, and full of life, but she'd been struggling to grow it. Brittany once called it pointless. "Hey, Dana," I wrote, "my company's been looking for someone to manage our social media lunch features. Would you be interested?" She responded within minutes. "What? Are you kidding?" "Yes. Thank you so much. This could be huge for me." I leaned back, the faint sound of thunder echoing outside. For the first time in months, I felt useful again, seen, even if it wasn't by her. This wasn't about revenge. It was about balance. About proving, not to her, but to myself, that kindness, when genuine, didn't need justification. I wasn't playing her game anymore. I was rewriting the rules. And when Sunday dinner came, when her family gathered in that warm, laughter-filled house, surrounded by the smell of Janet's roast chicken and the clinking of glasses, the universe would make sure she finally understood the cost of her mockery. Because the moment she saw me walk in, talking and laughing with her cousins, would be the first time she realized. She'd taught me this game, and I had learned it better than she ever imagined. Sunday arrived cloaked in calm sunlight, the kind that tricks you into thinking everything is fine. The smell of fresh-cut grass drifted into my car window as I pulled into Roger and Janet's driveway. Their suburban home sat on a quiet street lined with maple trees, turning gold at the edges, a sign that summer was slowly giving way to fall. I hadn't told Brittany I was coming early. She'd been distant all weekend, texting sporadically, her phone lighting up far too often with Nate's name. But this time, I wasn't waiting around to be ignored. When I walked in, the familiar warmth of their home wrapped around me. The scent of rosemary chicken, the soft hum of classic rock playing from the living room speaker, the laughter of family echoing down the hallway. For the first time in weeks, I felt at home. Melissa was in the corner, setting up a few prints from her upcoming art show. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. "There you are. I was just telling Aunt Janet how amazing your gallery contact is. He said he wants to feature 3 of my pieces next month." "That's great, Melissa," I said, smiling. "You've earned it." As we talked, I felt a strange calm settle in, like the universe was quietly correcting itself. That's when Brittany walked in. Her heels clicked sharply against the floor, her perfume, that same jasmine note, arriving before she did. Her face brightened at first when she saw me, then faltered as she noticed who I was talking to. Since when are you two so close? She asked, voice sharp but trying to sound casual. Melissa beamed. He's been helping me so much. Got me connected with a gallery owner. I might finally have my first show. Brittany's smile tightened like a drawn bowstring. That's great. Before she could say more, Dana entered from the kitchen, holding a bowl of salad. Oh, and I got the job, she announced proudly. Thanks to your boyfriend, by the way. He recommended me to his company. Roger raised his glass of beer from the dining table. This guy's always helping family, he said, his voice warm but laced with something pointed. More than some people, I'd say. Brittany shot him a glare, but he only sipped his drink unfazed. Janet, ever the peacemaker, smiled sweetly. We're just lucky to have him around. Always so thoughtful. Then Gloria, Brittany's aunt, chimed in. You know, my daughter Amy is moving to town next week. She doesn't know anyone here. Maybe you could show her around. I nodded immediately. Of course. I'd be happy to help her get settled. You're such a sweetheart, Gloria gushed. Brittany, you're so lucky. Under the table, I felt Brittany's foot press against mine. Hard. Dinner went on, but the air shifted. I could feel her watching me. Every laugh, every word, every smile I shared with her cousins was like fuel to a fire she'd started herself. When dessert was served, I excused myself to the kitchen to help Janet. That's when Brittany followed, her voice low but trembling with restrained fury. What the hell are you doing? She hissed. I turned, calmly rinsing a plate, talking to whoever I want. Same rules, remember? My family? Really? You're doing this with my family? I met her eyes, steady, unwavering. They're nice people. We have things in common. That's allowed, right? This is different, and you know it. How? I asked, genuinely curious. They're just friends. I paused, letting the silence stretch. You're not being insecure, are you? Her jaw clenched. Her face flushed red. She didn't answer. By the time we returned to the table, her smile was tight, her laughter brittle. Everyone else was relaxed, sharing stories, clinking glasses, enjoying the warmth of family. But Brittany sat there, trapped in her own unease, every compliment toward me sounding like a bell tolling against her ego. That night, when we got home, she barely spoke. Her silence was loud, louder than any argument we'd ever had. But for me, the silence wasn't empty. It was justice. She wanted to live without boundaries. Now, for the first time, she was tasting what that freedom truly felt like, when the same indifference she celebrated was reflected right back at her. And deep down, I think it terrified her. The days after that dinner were like walking through a hall of mirrors, every reflection showing Brittany a version of herself she didn't want to see. At first, she tried to pretend nothing had changed. She'd scroll through her phone at night, laugh at Nate's messages, and toss casual comments about office banner into conversation. But now, every time her screen lit up, she'd glance at me first, checking if I was watching. I wasn't. I had my own messages now, from Melissa about her gallery plans, from Dana about her new job, and from Amy, freshly arrived in town, asking about coffee shops, parks, and places to unwind. It wasn't flirtation. It was friendship, pure and honest. But Brittany didn't see it that way. Why is Melissa texting you at 9 p.m., she asked one night, arms crossed as she leaned against the kitchen counter. Gallery stuff. I replied simply. She works during the day, so evenings are when she's free. That's too late. I turned, meeting her eyes calmly. You text Nate later than that. Her lips parted, but no sound came. That's different. How? She blinked, searching for words that didn't exist. Then she muttered something under her breath and walked away, slamming the bedroom door behind her. It was almost poetic, watching her drown in the same ocean she'd thrown me into. When Amy texted later that week, asking if I could show her around the city, I didn't hesitate. She was new, didn't know anyone, and I'd promised her mom I'd help. So I spent Saturday walking her through the downtown market, pointing out local art stalls, sipping lattes at my favorite coffee shop, introducing her to a few people from my running group. Amy was sweet, curious, friendly, grateful. We took a group photo at the market, her holding a basket of sunflowers, me holding coffee, and she posted on Instagram with the caption, "Big thanks to my cousin's boyfriend for showing me around. Hashtag new beginnings, hashtag grateful." The photo wasn't romantic, but perception? Perception is powerful. My phone buzzed before I even made it home. 15 missed calls. When I finally walked in, Brittany was waiting, standing in the living room, eyes red, phone clutched in her hand. "Are you serious?" she snapped. "Everyone's asking why my boyfriend is out with my cousin. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that is?" "Why? We're just friends," I said evenly. Wait, are you saying men and women can't be just friends?" Her mouth opened, then shut. If she said yes, she'd be condemning her own friendship with Nate. If she said no, she had no argument. "You're twisting things," she muttered. "This is manipulation." "No," I said quietly. "This is equality. Same rules for both of us." Her breath caught, a mix of anger and realization, and for a fleeting second, I saw something behind her eyes. Fear. That night, while I showered, she went through my phone. When I came out, her face was pale. "You're planning a gallery event with my cousins? Behind my back." I towel-dried my hair, calm. "Not behind your back. It's a public event. You're invited. The theme, supporting family. That's a dig at me." "Maybe it's a reminder," I said. "Family's supposed to show up." She stormed off again, her footsteps echoing to the apartment like thunder. By the time Melissa's gallery night arrived, the city was alive with the buzz of autumn. Streetlights glimmered on wet asphalt. A chill wind carried the scent of rain and coffee. The small downtown gallery was packed, laughter, music, art, and the hum of conversation filling every corner. Brittany showed up late, overdressed, her heels too tall, her smile too sharp. She wanted attention. Instead, she got whispers. Roger clapped me on the shoulder. "You outdid yourself, son. Melissa's show looks incredible." Janet beamed. "We're so proud. You've done more for this family than anyone could have asked." Each word was a knife Brittany couldn't dodge. Then, as if fate wanted to twist the blade, Nate showed up. Apparently, Brittany had invited him, her just a friend. When Amy spotted him, her voice rang out, innocent but cutting. "Oh, is this the work friend you're always texting?" Nate grinned. "Yeah, we text all the time. She's hilarious, especially late at night when she can't sleep." Roger's eyebrows shot up. The room fell silent for a beat too long. I stepped in with a polite smile. "Nate's been a great support for Brittany at work, just like how Amy and I have become good friends." Amy caught on instantly. "Absolutely. He's the best." Brittany's jaw tightened. "We should look at the art," she muttered, dragging Nate toward the nearest canvas. But the damage was done. The whispers spread. The looks from her family, questioning, disappointed, followed her through the night. Later, Dana pulled me aside. "You know, Brittany's telling people you're trying to make her jealous," she whispered. I laughed softly. "Let me guess. Poor Brittany, victim of her controlling boyfriend?" "Pretty much," Dana said. "But no one's buying it. Everyone saw her story last week. That wine bar at 1 a.m.? She deleted it, but not before people saw Nate sitting next to her." My smile faded. I hadn't known about that. The truth always has a way of surfacing. Sometimes all it needs is time and light. When Melissa stood up to thank everyone, her voice cracked with emotion. "I couldn't have done this without my family," she said. "Especially my cousin's boyfriend, who believed in my art when my own family didn't." All eyes turned to Brittany. Janet's voice cut through the silence. "Sweetheart, why didn't you ever help Melissa with this stuff?" Brittany stammered. "I've been busy." Roger's tone hardened. "Too busy for family, but not too busy for that Nate fella, huh?" Brittany's cheeks flushed crimson. The drive home was silent. The city lights flashed across her face, pale, distant, hollow. Then she exploded. "You turned my family against me." I stared out the window, voice calm. "I helped them. If that turns them against you, maybe ask why. This is about Nate." "No," I said softly. "This is about respect. You said I was insecure for wanting boundaries. But the second I started living by your rules, you couldn't handle it. Her voice broke. My cousins are off limits. But Nate isn't? I asked. He's just a friend. So are they. See how this works. She had no answer. That night, she slept on the couch. And for the first time in months, I slept peacefully. Not because I'd won, but because I'd finally stopped losing myself. The next few weeks felt like living in the shadow of a storm that had already passed. Quiet, heavy, uneasy. Brittany moved to the apartment like a ghost. The woman who once filled every room with noise, laughter, sarcasm, control, was suddenly silent. Her phone stayed face down now. Her eyes no longer met mine. It should have felt like victory, but it didn't. There's no joy in proving someone wrong. When you love them, only a quiet ache. The kind that settles deep, whispering, was it always meant to end like this? I focused on rebuilding. Melissa's gallery became a regular stop for local artists. Dana launched her startup. Roger and Janet started inviting me to family dinners again. For the first time in years, I wasn't just in someone's life. I was part of something bigger. But every win felt bittersweet. One evening, I came home to find Brittany sitting at the dining table, a half-empty glass of wine beside her. Her eyes were swollen, like she'd been crying for hours. I talked to Nate today, she said softly. I didn't respond. He said, he doesn't want to talk anymore. Said this whole thing was getting complicated. Her voice trembled. He told me to focus on you. I leaned against the counter. Maybe he realized what I did months ago, that playing with people's trust doesn't end well. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I never meant to hurt you. I sighed. Maybe not, but you wanted power. And power and love can't live in the same room. One always kills the other. She looked up, desperate, broken. Can we fix this? For a long moment, I didn't answer. The only sound was the rain tapping softly against the windows. Then I spoke, gently but firmly. Brittany, you didn't just break trust. You mocked it. You called me insecure, jealous, controlling, just for asking for honesty. And now that the mirror is facing you, you can't look. She flinched, like the truth itself hurt. I kept forgiving you, I continued. Every text, every secret, every lie you had behind the word friendship. And the more I forgave, the less of me there was left. She covered her face, sobbing quietly. I watched you flirt, laugh, disappear into conversations I wasn't part of. I said, and I told myself it was fine, that maybe love was supposed to feel like surviving, but it's not. It's supposed to feel like home. Her voice cracked through her tears. So what now? I took a deep breath. Now, I stopped surviving. Her head snapped up. You're leaving? I nodded slowly. I already did. The day you laughed at my pain, that's when I left. My body just stayed behind. She reached out, but I stepped back. Not out of anger, out of peace. Some goodbyes aren't loud. They're quiet, gentle, necessary. That night, I packed a small bag, just essentials. No shouting, no slammed doors, just silence. As I turned the key one last time, she whispered behind me, he was just a friend. Without looking back, I replied, so was I, before I loved you. I spent the next few months rediscovering who I was, not as someone's partner, but as a person. I joined Melissa's new art project, started hiking again, took night drives with the windows down. For the first time in forever, I wasn't measuring my worth against someone's attention. Brittany tried reaching out a few times. Long messages at midnight, apologies, memories, promises. But every time, I just stare at the screen and then put my phone down. Because forgiveness doesn't always mean reunion. Sometimes it just means freedom. The last message she ever sent said, I finally understand what you were asking for. I just learned it too late. I didn't reply, not out of cruelty, but because some lessons can be unlearned. Months later, at another gallery show, Melissa asked if I'd seen Brittany's new posts. She's in therapy now, she said. Looks different, softer. I nodded. Good. Maybe she'll finally see the reflection clearly. Melissa smiled. And you? How are you? I thought about everything. The lies, the lessons, the pain that turned to strength. "I'm finally me," I said. The city outside glowed beneath the night sky, alive, imperfect, and real. And as I stepped out into the cool air, I realized something beautiful. Sometimes, losing someone is just life's way of returning you to yourself.